What's up, you guys? I'm here for a quick video today about alcohol, explaining how to track it, explaining why the macros that you see on a regular bottle of beer or whatever don't really make sense. So let's just jump right into it. So the first thing to talk about is that alcohol is a toxin. It's not going to be really beneficial to use your macros towards alcohol, especially in a fat loss phase. So a lot of times I get the question, what's the best alcohol to choose? There really isn't anything that's going to be like great, but I'm going to teach you how to make the lower calorie choices so that you can easily track them against your carbs or fats. Going into an event where there's going to be alcohol, I want you to kind of take into account the following questions. One is that, can you enjoy that event without it? Obviously, there's going to be certain events in your life, like your bachelorette party or maybe birthdays, things like that, where it makes sense for you to indulge, and it may take away from the experience if you don't drink at all. But a lot of events, you're gonna be able to still have fun even without a drink in your hand. So don't give yourself that excuse that you can't have fun without it. The other thing to think about is, are you willing to maintain through that week if you're in a fat loss phase? Are you willing to possibly not lose fat that week because you're making the choice to indulge in alcohol? Is it worth it to you or not? So technically, alcohol is a fourth macronutrient, and it technically is 7 calories per gram. But we don't have alcohol calories that are just like in our macros each day, so we have to learn a different way to track it. First, I'm gonna give you an example of why you can't just go off the macros of like a normal bottle of beer. If you look at this example of a 12-ounce Bud Light, it has 110 calories, 0 fat, 6.6 carbs, and 0.9 protein. So if you know anything about the macronutrients and their caloric values, adding up those macros for the Bud Light does not get you to 110 calories. There's some kind of discrepancy there. And that's because alcohol is technically that fourth macronutrient. So the nutrition facts don't exactly account for that. So if you're kind of looking at the nutrition facts of this Bud Light, you're like, wow, this only has 6.6 carbs in it. This is like practically a diet food. But it's because your body metabolizes it differently. So we have to kind of account for that in your macros. So your choices are, you can either pull from carbs or you can pull from fat. We're not gonna use your protein macros towards a beer. That's not gonna happen. In this specific case, we have an 110 calorie beverage. That's really the only thing that you're gonna need to find out is how many calories the beverage is, and then you're gonna be able to divide that by carbs or by fat. So we have this 110 calorie beer. So if I do some quick math, 110 calories divided by 4, because there are 4 calories per gram of carbs, that comes out to 27.5 carbs per beer. So then you would track it as this. It would be 110 calories, 27.5 carb, 0 fat, 0 protein. That's one way that you can do it. And when you go to MyFitnessPal, it's not gonna necessarily have that loaded into the choices. It might, because other people are probably tracking it this way too, but it's not necessarily gonna have it in the choices. So you will go into MyFitnessPal, the app, you will click, you'll go to your diary, add food, and then in the top right corner here, you'll add a food, create a food, type in Bud Light, 12 ounces, oops, 1 can, 1 serving, and then you'll type that in. You'll have your 110 calories, what was it, 27.5? Great, I deleted it. 27.5, 0 protein, 0 fat. Check. And you don't need to add any more data. So then that will program that in there the way it's supposed to be. Now your other option is that you can take from fats. Say you don't have very many carbs left for that day, you can take it from fats. You're gonna do the exact same process. You have your 110 calorie drink, you're gonna divide it by 9 because there are 9 calories per gram of fat. So 110 divided by 9 is 12.2. So in that case, you would track it as 110 calories, 12.2 fat, 0 protein, 0 carbs. So when it comes to mixers, I just personally, I don't want to add any more calories to the equation. So I'm going to choose 0-calorie mixers. Things like soda water, regular water, Diet Coke. You can do limes and lemons, just simple things like that, and then you're not adding any more calories to it. If you were going to add something like pina colada mix or a regular Coke, you would have to track that too. And I would just kind of do that separately in the app. But you're probably gonna see how many calories are in the pina colada and say that it's not worth it in a fat loss phase, or just have one. The other thing is snacking drunk. So I think in theory, you probably can't get drunk if you're in a fat loss phase. You just won't have the macros for it. Wow, that highlight is blinding. You just won't have the macros for it because you'll run out of carbs before you have enough drinks where you can get drunk, I think, for me at least. So, but if you did get to that point, then the other problem is those calories that you're taking in when you're not fully there, you're not fully enjoying it anyway. So like, do you really need that frozen pizza when you're that far gone? So that's something you just have to be careful about. I would just try not to get there, and if you do, just try to put the stop to it. Try to just go to bed, get some water, and just not make things worse. So that's really all I have for you today. A lot of times people think this is super, super complicated, but really it's just making a decision of if you want to track it as carbs, track it as fat, and just making the division problem. I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. Drop your favorite low-calorie drink below. I'll go ahead and start because I have a major go-to every time.